Chapter 4. Ships of the Desert. The camel riders all silently watched the sun set over the faraway dunes. As the fire... Yeah?
Dad, you mean ship.
What'd I say?
Camel riders.
Oh, but no, this says camel riders. They're the ships of the desert. Camels are.
No, I was just trying to make a joke.
Oh, okay. As the fiery ball slipped beneath the horizon, the desert... What is a fiery ball? What are they talking about? It's the sun. When the sun goes down, it looks like a big fiery ball.
Yeah, it's a fiery ball, but with strings and everything.
As soon as the sun disappeared, the air got much cooler. Mamoon stood up. "It is time to go," he said. The camel riders put out their small fire. In the growing darkness, Mamoon helped them saddle up their animals and load them with baggage. Then Mamoon came over to Jack and Annie. "You can ride those two sisters," he said, pointing at two camels kneeling in the sand. "Climb on, then come to the front of the line to ride with me." Jack and Annie walked over to the two camel sisters. Each had reins hanging from her neck. Saddles made from colorful cushions were piled high on their humps. Annie patted the wiry, tan-colored fur of one of the camels. The camel looked at Annie with big eyes and fluttered her thick eyelashes. "Hey, cutie," said Annie. The other camel nuzzled Annie's neck. "Hey, beauty," Annie said to the other. "You want some attention too?" "Cutie and beauty," said Jack. He didn't find either camel particularly cute or beautiful. Annie climbed onto Cutie's saddle cushion and picked up the reins. "Let's ride," she said. Cutie rose awkwardly up from the kneeling position. "Lucy." To a full stand. "Oh, wow," said Annie, towering over Jack. "She's really tall." Jack started to climb onto Beauty, but the camel caught an end of his headcloth and began chewing it. "Stop that," said Jack, pulling the cloth away from her. Beauty opened her mouth wide and flashed rows of sharp teeth. Jack drew back. "Don't be afraid," said Annie. "Easy for you to say," said Jack. "Yours likes you." "Don't worry, Beauty likes you too," said Annie. "I can tell." Annie's camel began ambling toward the other camels, waiting to head off into the desert. "Come on, Jack, it's really fun once you're moving," she called. "Fun," muttered Jack. "Right." He held on to the ends of the headcloth and put his leg over Beauty's hump. The camels eyed him suspiciously. She switched her tail, slapping his back. "Hey," said Jack. Jack tried to get comfortable on the saddle cushion, but Beauty spat at him and made a weird screeching sound. "Quiet," said Jack. He hooked his shoulder bag onto a saddle horn. When he was finally settled, Beauty turned her head and started chewing on his leather bag. "No, don't!" yelled Jack. He tried pulling the bag away, but Beauty played tug-of-war. "Come on, let go," said Jack. "Give it back, stupid." "Do you really think she's stupid?" Jack jumped. Mamoon had ridden up behind him and was watching as he tried to get his bag back from Beauty. Jack was embarrassed. She won't look at my stuff," he said. Mamoon grabbed the strap of Jack's bag. "Shh, everybody." He clucked his tongue and the camel let go. She groaned as Mamoon hooked the leather bag back onto the saddle horn. "For thousands of years, camels like this one have carried people across the desert," said Mamoon. "She is truly a miracle of nature." "Some miracle," thought Jack. "She can drink 2 barrels of water in 10 minutes," said Mamoon, "and then go for a week without drinking again. She can live many days without food, too." "Really?" said Jack. "She is well suited to travel in the desert," said Mamoon. "Her thick eyebrows protect her from the glare of the sun. Her long eyelashes and the fur around her ears keeps out wind-blown sand." "Cool," said Jack softly. "Her feet are so tough, they do not feel the heat of the desert," said Mamoon. "And they are so big that they keep her from sinking down into the loose sand." Said Jack. "She can carry 500 pounds of baggage on her back," said Mamoon, "and travel 100 miles in a single day." That's a lot, murmured Jack. Mamoon tugged on the camel's reins and clucked his tongue. Beauty breathed heavily as she rose up on her long, powerful legs and her full height. Mamoon looked at Jack. We must respect her and honor her, he said. In many ways, she is superior to us. No? Jack nodded. He thought of the words of Merlin's letter. To succeed in your mission, you must be humble. He patted the camel. Good girl, Beauty. Mamoon clucked his tongue again to coax the camel forward. Perched high on his saddle, Jack rocked from side to side. He did not feel at all safe, but he stayed calm. Beauty ambled over to Cutie. The two sisters stood together and snorted. The desert sky was bright with stars. Mamoon called his men, and the caravan started moving forward. The camels walked with a swaying motion. They moved 2 big feet on one side, then 2 big feet on the other. Jack gripped the horn of his saddle as his ship of the desert rocked from left to right. Isn't this fun? Said Annie, rocking alongside him. Sort of, said Jack, shivering. Actually, he wasn't having any fun at all. He felt seasick and was freezing in the night air. Here's a picture of everybody riding the camels together.
Wow, that's a lot of... Oh my god, that's a lot of people.
Uh-huh.
I love people. I love people.
They're all riding together.
How many people are there? Hey, Dad, did you show me the picture? Did you show me?
Here, Daph.
Whoa. See how many people there are? That's a lot. I think.
He felt seasick and was freezing in the night air. Also, he was worried about their mission. Would the caliph meet with them? If he did, how could they help him spread wisdom to the world? And if Baghdad was very far away, how would they ever find their way back to the treehouse? Mamoon slowed his camel until he was riding between Jack and Annie. When I was a boy, I spent many cold nights in the desert riding with my father on journeys to the west, he said. At first, I too thought camels were foolish. I always longed for more blankets and for a smoother ride. I wished to be back in Baghdad in my own warm bed. Jack smiled. He liked the caravan leader. But over time, I have come to love the cold desert nights, said Mamoon. Now, when I am sleeping in my warm bed in Baghdad, I long to be here instead. I wish to be reading the wind and the stars. How do you read the stars? Asked Annie. They have their own language, said Mamoon. At this moment, we are headed east toward the goat star. He pointed at the sky. Jack couldn't tell which star was the goat star, but he was filled with wonder. Thousands of tiny lights twinkled in the back dome of the night. The black dome. There were more stars than Jack had ever imagined. Some looked close enough to touch. Mamoon started singing a song. The other camel riders joined in. Jack couldn't understand the words, but the tune was soothing. The camels seemed to sway to the music.
What was the music?
I don't know.
Maybe the story would tell us.
It's probably something like, when are you gonna come down? When are you going to land?
Or maybe it's like, or maybe it's like, when you're gonna come down and start dancing.
Jack stopped worrying about how they would get back to the treehouse. And he found, you need to use the potty, Lucy? Okay, just a second. He was actually enjoying the fresh desert air. He started to relax. Jack and Annie said softly, guess what we just solved? The first mystery in Merlin's letter. Ride a ship of the desert on a cold, starry night. Yeah, said Jack happily. And it's really fun. Suddenly, a fierce shout came from the distance. Jack sat up, straighter. His heart jumped. Bandits! One of the camel drivers shouted.